Hey guys, welcome back to Repair'em channel. Today we're going to be working on an iPad 7th generation ChargePort issue. Let's get to it. Alright, so this iPad came in with a ChargePort issue. We're going to troubleshoot it just real quick. It seems like it is a ChargePort issue. We're going to get started with lifting up the glass. Like we said it before in our previous video, it's at 270. Airspeed is also very important. You don't want to put too much or less on there. We're going to rotate that heat all the way around the iPad to get the tape loosened up so we can lift the glass only. Ensure that you're not lifting up the LCD. You could damage it. Take a nice little safe price plastic around. Release all the glue around and the tape. It's an original OEM. Nobody has ever opened it before, so it's going to be a little tight, but we are certified. Alright, keep that momentum going around and around until you start freeing up the screen. Just make sure that the Touch ID does not get burnt or damaged as you lift it up the screen. I like to take my time down there to make sure that we are just being extra careful. Now that we have the screen lift up, just to double check, the Touch ID still seems like it still be working. This LCD is broken, but we can see the light behind it. This is the part where we start removing the LCD. It has 4 screws, they're all the same size. We had a little bit of extra glass just to take it off so we don't damage the LCD. Just double checking one more time, still having the same issue. These screws are very important for the LCD. It keeps the LCD and the glass separated so they're not always touching each other. We like to use a hand screw just to ensure that we're not going to be stripping anything. Remove all the excess of glass on the side so we don't damage the LCD. One last screw hiding in the corner. Sometimes they do come with black tabs on top. Safely lift one side up. Don't tug on it too much. It actually has a plate under it with the connectors for the LCD. We're going to be removing it as soon as possible right now. Same thing, 3 screws, same size. You guys can just put them together after you remove the plate. Okay, we're going to grab our little plate out of the way. I would like to use the safe pry tool here. Don't use tweezers, or you could use a little bit of your finger or your nail. You decide. We like to use the blue safe pry tool. There we go. That came out like butter. We actually released the digitizer first, then the LCD after. Alright, this is very important. This is the Touch ID connector. It's a safe little clip. It lifts up and then the cable comes out. Apple likes to put a little safety little thing in there for the LCD and the Touch ID connector so they don't get damaged. And the screen should be out. There we go. That was beautiful. Alright, now that we have just the iPad by itself, now it's time to clean the edges, remove all the old glue and the tape around, and the glass. Alright, so we can start removing all the excess of tape, glue, glass, and anything that's on the way. We want to make sure it's nice and clean so the next glass on there goes on there smoothly. And be careful during this process, okay? It's a very sharp tool. Beautiful. Nice. Alright, so this is a little bit more critical part. You have to be extra careful. We're going to be removing the board. A lot of these connectors still do have tape from the OEM, from the factory. We like to use QD spray. You can spray straight on the cables. We like to just kind of put it in the bottom so we don't get a lot of the battery wet. Now these are the antennas. You have to be extra careful with the antennas. You don't want to damage any antennas. Those are for the speakers as well. Keep adding your QD spray until you feel like it's freeing up all the cables. There is 2 connectors at the bottom. You are going to have to be extra careful that you don't tug on those. Same thing, just like the Touch ID, 2 clips, and then the cable releases itself. This is the battery screw. That battery screw is very important. Ensure that you put it in a safe place. Headphone jack needs to also come out. The antenna's on top. Release all the screws around. There's a plate metal holding all the top components. You can easily remove it, just be extra careful. It might be a little stuck because it's an OEM tablet, nobody has ever opened it. So we are going to add a little bit of QD spray. It's our best friend here. QD is the best. And we're going to add a little bit on the bottom of the board. There is some adhesive tape that the OEM comes with it. QD will actually take that off really nicely. This is your power button, volume button, and mute rocker. It's off to the side. It's covered with a black plastic, and it's also a clip-on. There we go. Got 2 tapes out and 2 clips out. Be extra gentle with this part. You can also break the connectors. There we go. Nice. Alright, so this is some tape that Apple likes to use just to kind of keep the connectors all in place. We can remove them or leave them. We are going to leave them on this time, but the plate must come off. Be gentle with it. There's a lot of important things in the way. Nice. Beautiful. Okay. You see those little antennas on the bottom? Don't be scared of them. Lift them up with a little bit of QD or a Safe Pry 2. We went with the Safe Pry 2 today. Release the back camera. It's a clip-on. And an antenna is also here. Remove the antenna carefully. And there's also extra clips on the bottom for the front camera itself. Now that we have everything on the air, we're going to use this little Safe Pry 2 just to ensure that the board's out of the way now that we disconnected everything. And remember, we also already sprayed QD prior to doing all this, so it will be easier for us. For this part right here, I'll take my time. There's also more black connectors that are covering some antennas, and the Touch IDs, and the SIM card tray that this iPad has. Take your time. Alright, now that we free up everything, one more time, a little bit of QD to get all that excess of tape that OEM has in the back from the Apple. I'm going to remove our antennas, free out the way so the board can remove itself freely. There's one antenna and there's a second one. Okay, so now the bottom and the board are separated. There is 2 ChargePort screws that hold the ChargePort together. It's actually a metal plate. They're both the same size. Keep them together because they're pretty long and thin. Nice. Alright. Now this is the fun part. Same thing. Lift the ChargePort up. There's already QD on the bottom, so it's going to come off really easily. Even though it's damaged, just be careful with it. It goes right on the bottom of the antennas, free up from all the antennas that are around. Give it a nice little tug, it should pop. There you go. We're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of my QD. It's pretty simple, really well. Good job, Apple. All right, we're lifting up the board. Be extra careful. You don't want to bend the board or damage the board. This is the hardest part. It's on top. It needs to go out kind of like when you put your shoe in. You gotta remove it the same way. And just double checking all our connectors. Make sure we did disconnect everything. And it seems like it's just a little bit more of a OEM glue on the bottom. There you go. There you go. The plate's free out the way. Grab our little scraper tool that we like to use and go from the bottom and release that. Okay. slowly, make sure you don't damage the battery. There we go, it's coming out a little slowly, but it's coming out. We want to ensure we don't break that board. We damage the board, it's going to be a bad thing for us. There we go. Nice, we got the board out the way. Alright, so now this is the interesting part. We want to make sure that we keep it as original as possible. Some of the tapes came out, we put them right back. Alright, like I said, we are working on the charge port. We are going to remove the old charge port out the way. We're going to add a little bit of flex to remove the charge port out the way. We're going to use a little bit of core wire just to make it a little easier on us. This should remove it really, really fast. I'm going to apply a little bit of a core wire all over the flex cable in the back. Move it around until you get all the little holes around. This will loosen up all the old solder in the bottom. So when we're ready to remove, we could just tug on it and remove the whole thing off the way. There you go. One last in the bottom. Okay. Alright, so we apply the heat now that we have the solder wire on it. Now we're going to easily lift up. Ensure you don't lift the pads up. If you lift the pads up, it's going to be another video. Move the wand back and forth and you start seeing the release of the flex cable. Now we're going to slowly move the wand up and down until we start releasing the flex cable. Take your time with this. You want to make sure that the pads are all still on the board. And just like that. Magic. Alright, so the old charge port's out of the board. Our pads actually look intact. So that means we did a great job. Now this is the cleaning process. We like to clean up all the pads, ensure they're all in the same place, nothing's being overlapped. Use a little bit of alcohol to clean the excess of the solder and anything that's in the way. Now that we have our new charge port, we are going to align it with a micro. Everything needs to be lined up. There's actually two little orange holes that you can line up the charge port to. You will need a microscope, as you see now. If the alignment is not done correctly, the charge port will not work. Take your time during this part. We're going to add a little bit of flex. We're going to start moving the wand up and down a little bit. There's already flex already on there, so it's going to start just curing itself together. As you guys can see, we actually started from the right left. It's a little easier to kind of keep the charge port in one place. And then you can work down left, right, right, left, whatever you like, whatever is easier for you guys. As you guys can see, this is kind of how it looks. We still need to clean it up, but it looks really nice actually. Now this is the cleanup process. All right. Now we're going to assemble the board back together, but first we need to test it. Reinstall the board just like how we took it out. Ensure that everything gets clipped in and it goes in the right way. We start from the bottom, from top to the bottom. Don't leave any antennas out. Ensure you connect your back camera and lock buttons and power buttons. Nice. Remove all the antennas out of the way. The charge port should go under those antennas just like the way we removed it before. Another easy way to align it is your battery screw. Your battery screw will sit the board right in the middle, so that way everything else falls in place. And before we put it all back together, we just like to get a reading out of it to ensure that the battery and the charge port are syncing together. So we are going to put the battery screw back in there. And we're going to test the charge port to ensure there is power going inside. Nice. All right, you guys see that little battery on there? That means the iPad is charging. Good job. All right, we're going to assemble it all back together, just like how we took it out apart. Charge port, battery screws, and when you guys are assembling it, remove the battery so you guys don't create any shorts. That was just to test the device. All antennas go in the right place. Tuck them in nicely. Same thing for the top, front camera as well, tuck it in. Lock button as well. Make sure you guys are clipping down those clips or else the cable will not work. We like to put everything as back as normal, so we are using the black little tape. Now that we got the board back in, we're going to apply our 2mm black tape. We love this tape. It's actually a really tape that we actually sourced out. And ensure the taping is done correctly as well. You don't want to overlap it because it will make the screen won't sit flush. We're just cleaning up, make sure we don't have anything on the bottom. There we go. Right on the edge. Cut yourself a little short there so you can get the other angle. Clean up all the edges, ensure it's inside. Alright, I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. Alright. Nice. Alright, taping's done. Looks beautiful. And one more little piece. Alright, this is the little part where you have to just cut the bottom so the charge port doesn't get in the way. Nice. Very small cut. Okay, now that we have the iPad taped, we are going to prep. Remove our old Touch ID. Use a little bit of heat, move the heat around. We just need to remove the sides of them. Just a little bit of glue. Use some tweezers or anything you like to lift it up, where it is an old glass, so it doesn't matter if you scratch it. We just want to lift up that Touch ID nicely. And there it goes. Be careful when you pull that cable on the left. It still has a little bit of tape on the bottom. You can remove a little bit of heat or a little bit of QD spray. We like to just do it by hand slowly. Alright, we're going to clean out the plate that goes on top of the Touch ID, remove all the glue so it can sit flush on the next screen. Alright, our iPad seems like it's ready to go. All the glass that we buy comes with a tape. We like to use our own tape. Remove that, prep the screen with the Touch ID and the new primer. Touch ID goes in first. Ensure that it's nice and straight and it's still clicking. We like to add our primer. Our primer is actually really nice. It keeps everything intact. We're going to take this primer all the way around the screen. Nice. Just be careful with those cables. Those cables are very sensitive. Alright, so this is the part where we attach a little bit of a Loctite on our plate for the Touch ID. Small dabs of glue. There we go. I'm gonna add the Touch ID, ensure you don't glue your fingers to the screen. Ensure the cable is nice and straight and centered. That looks pretty well to us. I'm gonna apply a little bit of pressure in the back. There we go. We're just gonna press a little longer and center. Click, click, click. It's clicking. Beautiful. All right, that Touch ID is ready to go. Now we're just gonna cure the glue a little bit faster for us so we can close that iPad out. A little bit of heat, not too much. All right. Some finishing touches. All right, so the screen's ready to go in. Connect your digitizer to the board, connect your Touch ID to the board, those are ready. Add the sponge, sponge is very important to keep the Touch ID in place. Connect your LCD, and we're ready to power on. And voila, just like that. ChargePort is fixed, guys. We're just gonna check the digitizer because we also replaced the digitizer. It seems like it's working. It's showing it's charging, powering it off. And now we're getting ready to reassemble it back. Don't forget about the plate. The plate is very important. Same 3 screws. They go 1 left, 1 middle, 1 center. Lay down your LCD. We're just turning it on to ensure we're still good after connecting the LCD. Seems like it's good. Your 4 screws that go around the corner to ensure the LCD is safe in there. Quick wipe down the LCDs, no smudges, no fingerprints, no DNA. All right, remove all the white top of the tape, black tape. And we're getting ready to flush the screen down. There's also a plastic that comes with the original screens. Remove the plastic out of the back, just so we don't leave fingerprints. There we go. All right, flush one side down. I like to put the one that has the flex cables first, and then just work around it. All right, there you go, guys. All right, guys, thank you guys for watching. My name is Will. We are here at Repair 'em. Stay tuned for more content. If you guys like, hit like and subscribe. Voila. Put that in the editing. 1, 2, 3. Okay.